Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this, which is a version of my triple pop-up cube card that I originally came up with back in 2019, but didn't do the video till like April 2020. And so I've seen lots of different versions of this, and this is a version that I've seen, but I've done my own measurements for this. So this is a 6x6 triple pop-up cube card, a revamp of it. And so what I've done, obviously it's not a triple cube, it's only a double cube, and I've opened up the whole inside section. So I have used dies from Coca Rosa Studio. So this one here is a Coca Rosa Studio die. So if you use my code ICED20, you'll get 20% off your order. I've also used an In Love Art Shop die, which is this one here, this honeycomb, and it's actually bigger than this. It's a whole panel. In the video you see what it looks like when it comes up. And then also the little bees also come with that honeycomb die. And that's from In Love Art Shop. So if you use my code ICED-images, all in one word, that will get you 20% off your order. And then the papers that I've used here are Antonio Makes. So if you head over to his website, www.antoniomakes.com, use my code Louise10, you'll get yourself 10% off your order, plus off all VIP subscriptions. So yeah, so it's quite a nice card. It folds flat. I have literally just stuck my bees down, so I don't want to fold it completely flat, but it folds flat like that and fits in an envelope for a 5x7 card. So yeah, so it's fun one to do. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need a piece of 10.5 by 10.5 base card, and you're going to score at 2.5, at 5, at 7.5, and at 10. And then what you want to do is rotate your card round so that your little 1/2 inch is at the top, and you're going to score it again at 2.5, at 5. Right, so the 5-inch score line you need to only score at the top and at the bottom. Don't score in the middle. Okay, I've gone and scored in the middle, so yeah. And then you also want to score at 7.5. You can score all the way top to bottom, and also at 10. Yeah, so you really want to not score here. It just helps when you're cutting out. So this bit here, or this one here, you shouldn't really score this line. But I've done it now, so that's that. And then we're going to get our cutting mat out, and also our craft knife and metal rule. Okay, so once you've scored, what you want to do is, obviously you shouldn't have scored across here. That shouldn't be there. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut all the way down here, and you're going to cut this tab off like this. Okay, so that bit goes. You're going to cut out these 2 top squares here. You see the 2 top squares and the 2 little tabs. They're going to go too. So you're going to cut those out. You're also going to cut out, well, you're going to cut down. So you've already cut this bit out, and then you're going to carry on down this line until you get to these 2, and the same on here. So you end up with this. Okay, this is what your card should look like without that line across the middle. Okay, so that is that. So now what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and fold our score lines. So we are going to need to fold. This center one here is a valley. This is a valley. This is a valley. This is a valley. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 valleys, and this one in the middle, which obviously is part of that. So just fold those for now. Okay, so you should end up with that. Obviously ignore that line there, that shouldn't be there. Next up, what we're going to do is we are going to fold all of these lines, are all going to be mountain folds. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold all of those as mountain folds. So you should end up with basically that. You can probably see where we're going now. So now we're going to decorate these 2 panels here for starters. So I am using Antonio Makes' Beautiful Garden, a Magical Garden papers. So I've cut myself out. In total, I've got 4 mats, because I'm going to need 2 on the back as well. So you need 4 mat pieces that are 2 1/4 by 6 3/4. So you need 4 of those, and then you need 2 pattern pieces that are 2 inches by 6.5. So these are going to go on here, and then I'm going to stick them in there. Okay, so as you can see, I've put it to the bottom, not to the top, because you need to trim a little bit off the top of here, which I forgot about. So, because otherwise it's not going to end up being 7 inches tall, because at the moment this measures 7.5 inches tall. So we need to cut off 1/2 inch at the top. So I'm just going to measure 1/2 inch on here from the top, and 1/2 inch from the bottom here. So obviously you can do that beforehand, but for some reason I forgot all about that. Okay, so I'm just going to line those 2 lines up and just trim the middle piece just by 1/2 inch. So we end up with that. Okay, so now what we want to do is we need to go ahead and we need to stick this together like that. So what we want to do is put some red tape onto there. And then we're going to take the backing off, and we're just going to pull this over and stick that down. So now then, these bits are going to come round and they're going to go underneath like that. Now you can either stick your tabs in front like that on here, which just does mean you will see them even with your mat and layer on, or you can stick them underneath. Now I find it's better to stick them underneath. It is a bit more tricky to stick them underneath, but you know, it looks neater because you're not going to see that. So what you need to do, if you're sticking it underneath, you need to put the tape here on this side. If you're sticking them on top, then obviously the tape needs to go on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bits of red tape on here, and then after I've put the red tape on, then I'm going to notch out the corners to make it into more of a tab. I just find it easier to put the tape on first, because then you're cutting out that corner rather than having to cut your tape to fit. So we've done that like that, and then we're just going to notch out these edges, and then we're going to bring this round. Now if you want to, you can stick your inside pieces on now, which would be a better idea, but what I would do is just get your flap, turn it and bring it round, and then make a mark. So this one here you want to put a piece on, and this bit here you want to put a piece of pattern and mat on. Okay, I wouldn't bother doing these two because you don't really see them. So with that being so, you're going to need in total, because obviously you've got the outside as well, so imagine that's going to be stuck like that. So you need pattern and mat here and pattern and mat here. So you need in total 4 per side. So in total, you're going to need 8 pieces of mat card. And these pieces are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And then you need 8 pieces of pattern card that are 2 inches by 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead. I've only cut out 4. These are from my outside pieces. And then I've got some other idea for the inside. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick on my my patterns down to my mats, and then stick my and then I'll come back to you because I want to show you what I'm doing on the inside. Okay, so I've done my outside panels, so they're going to be stuck on in a minute. I'm going to do that in a minute. So the inside panels, instead of using pattern paper, I've got this bee die, which is from In Love Art Shop. So I've cut it out, and it comes with these little bees as well, these little tiny bees. I've cut out some of these little bees. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this honeycomb on here and just do a honeycomb thing. But because of the way, I don't want to just cut it off. I suppose I could just cut it off. I don't know if I'd then have enough. I probably wouldn't have enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come round here and just cut it so that it works with the pattern paper. And then it does mean I'm going to be a little bit short in places when I do the other one, because the other panel is going to be used on the bottom. But it should be alright. So I'm just going to come around here like this, just cut across there like that. across here and cut across there. So then that is going to be used on the bottom. And what I might do actually is I might just cut this bit here. Just take off these pieces like this. So you can obviously use the whole panel as it is, but I'm going to use mine. So that's going to go on the bottom here. And this one's going to go on the top. So I'm going to pop out all my bits and go ahead and stick these into place. And I've actually, what I've done is I've put tape on the back of this before I cut it out, which means that the whole thing's going to be sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. You could leave some of these little beehivey bits in. In fact, I might leave some in. Just leave some in to make it look like it's still got some in. Yep, so I'm going to go ahead and stick these panels down. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stuck all of my pieces in. I also just want to mention that the card I use for this, I'll show you at the beginning, but it's the Dovecraft foiled and glittered 6x6 card. And I know that glitter card doesn't always die cut, and this is die cut relatively well, I have to say. I only ran it through a couple of times, but if you look how intricate that is, and I've also cut out a greeting that says "You are loved," and again that cut quite nicely. I think if I'd put that through my Gemini, it would have cut even better. I did have a little bit of trouble on some of the inside edges, but not really much, I have to say. I was quite impressed. So yeah, just so you know. Right, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to stick these onto here like this, and then I'm going to stick these on the outside. Okay, so I've stuck the inside ones on. So now I'm going to go ahead and stick these down, and then I'm going to put the outside ones on, because then I know exactly where I need to put them. I need to, you know, where I need to align them, etc. So if we take the backing off this tape here and then bring this round, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to, if you just open it up a little bit, put it in, and what I would do is fold this flat like that, because that's the way it's going to go in the envelope, and then just fold that up and over, like underneath there, like that. So as long as that's flat, that folds flat, that's what you want, because then this is going to drop forward and these are the two we're going to decorate. But you want to make sure that you're folding it over and under and sticking it on the inside there, but you want to make sure that, as I said, it folds along here and it's nice and flat. So we're going to do the same with the other one. So I'm just going to take the backing off. I'm going to sort of open it up, fold this flat like that. Once that's flat, we're just going to fold that under like that. This is where you don't want to go too thick on your base card, because otherwise you might have trouble. The other thing as well is, on my original one that I did, which I don't have here to show you, I then had to kind of recrease these lines. So again, just bear that in mind. So that's what you should end up with. So when you bring it out like that, that's the beginning of your card, and you should, hopefully this should measure 7 and this should measure 5. So that means then we need to put pattern paper here and pattern paper here. If you want to put some on the base, you can. You will see it when it's flattened, but I'm not going to bother, because as soon as it's up and it's out, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick my pattern paper on the outside. Okay, so there you can see I have stuck that down, so you get little beehivey bits inside. It's a really nice die, that is. So that's that, like that. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put a greeting on. Now, as you probably saw from the craft haul video that I did, I had a greeting in the middle. Now I've actually fastened that with a little tab, but I'm going to do this one a bit differently. And the one that I did in that video, I was meant to do how I'm going to do the one today, but I forgot. So when you're sticking your panels down, only put these 2 panels in here. Do not do the back ones just yet, because what we want to do is, if you want to do it the way I'm going to do it, then you want an acetate strip that's approximately, and it varies depending on what you're sticking on it. This one's 1 inch by 6 inches, and we're just going to score the 2 edges at 1/2 inch. So there's your acetate. This has actually got a protective coat on it, so I need to take the protective coating off of it, and then I'm going to score 1/2 inch on either edge. So on the end I'm just going to score 1/2 inch, and then just turn it round and score 1/2 inch on the other side as well. Okay, so that should mean that that middle section is 5 inches, which it is. So now what we need to do is go ahead and add some red tape onto the ends of those two pieces. I'm just going to bring my white envelope in, just so that I can then see my acetate. Little tip as well for your red tape, try and make sure you keep it slightly away from the score line, because when we bend it round, you are still going to see a little fraction of that because of the border that will be left. So just bear that in mind. I forgot to do that on mine. So what we're going to do now is going to bring this in. I want this to be about there, so I'm going to put my acetate about there. And what happens is this needs to bend round, so my red tape is actually on the inside here, and I've valley folded it. So that's going to go there, and that's going to go there. And you need to make sure when it shuts, obviously that does lie flat. So that is about where I want it. So I'm going to fold this down. Just going to open this up, take the backing off here, fold that over and stick it down. So this is what I'm talking about, the tape. So you can see where it's all yellowy, but I've left a little bit of a gap here. So then when you stick your matte layer on, hopefully you won't see the ugly tape. I didn't do it on that one so much, but hopefully it'll be okay. So that's that. So let's turn it back over again, and then we want to stick this onto here. Now what I would do, because obviously when it is up, it's going to naturally want to bend forward, so I don't really, let's have a look actually. Oh no, I probably could stick it pretty much, I could probably stick it pretty much on, yeah, I can probably stick it pretty much across the R. If you've got a long greeting like that, unless your card's going to bend, you don't really want to do the whole lot. You might want to do just a section of it, just see how far it bends. But I am going to do the whole of that R section, and I'm going to use red tape because I really want to make sure it definitely sticks. We don't want it peeling off. So I've just turned it over so I can see where my acetate is. So like that. If you want to stick it on the acetate, that's probably better. In fact, actually, that would be a good idea. Let me put this under them. This is the other way of doing it. So just stick it underneath, and then you can see where your card is going to finish, and then you can stick your red tape accordingly. So I've got one on the thing and one not. So let's just peel that off, and then take this out and peel that off. And now I just need to be careful that I definitely get this, so it's about level with that. Okay, so let's just stick that on. So it's going to be about there. There we go. And so then when you do it, it should pop forward. So I don't know if you can see this. Actually, from the top you can. Can you see how my greeting isn't level? And that's because where I've stuck it, it's stuck on the E, but I kind of need to make my tape so that I should have probably put it a bit more like that, so it's level. It's equal amounts either side of the thing, the crease line, because obviously then it's fine. What we'll do is we'll just arc our greeting a little bit, tweak it a little bit, and then we can get it in the right place. But yeah, just bear that in mind when you're sticking it down. So now I'm just going to go ahead now, turn it over, and we're going to stick our back panels on. So you've obviously got your two back panels that we mentioned before that were 2 1/4 by 6 3/4, and on top of that you just need to stick 2 white panels that are 2 inches by 6 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this down. Okay, so all that's left now is I'm just going to add a few of these little bees on. So these also came with that beehive honeycomb die. So so I've cut out a few of these, so I'm just going to go ahead and just randomly stick them on the card. Okay, so there's your finished card. So I've just put some little bees just sitting on the honeycomb inside there, and also a few on the outside. So yeah, so obviously it folds down flat the way we just showed you earlier, so I'm not going to fold it all the way because I've got bees stuck. I've just let it dry, but it folds up like that and it fits in a 5x7 envelope. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Please go check out CocoRosaStudio.com, which is and use my code ICE20, which will get you 20% off your order. And that was for the You Are Loved die. That was over on Coco Rosa Studio. Please also go and check out In Love Art Shop, which is what I had for the honeycomb die and the bee. And that is my code is iced images, all in one word, and that will get you 20% off. That's the code for that. All the details are on the screen. Also go and have a look at Antonio Makes and go and check out his gorgeous papers, including this one, which is A Magical Garden. And if you use my code Louise10, you'll get 10% off your order. So yes, I hope you enjoyed today. Please like and subscribe, leave a message down below, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you next time. Bye!